It is the Week 8 instant reaction show here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom talking about the New England Patriots winning over the New York Jets 25-22. Pats are 2-6. Jets are 2-6. And we'll get to the problem with Drake May and his concussion in a little bit. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and the problems they're in. 233, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Garrett Wilson gets 5 for 113 in this one. The touchdown goes to Tyler Conklin. 3 for 42 and a touch. And then Devontae Adams did something besides stop a pick six, 4 for 54 in this one. Breece Hall, 16 for 80. But Braylon Allen with a rushing touchdown, 12 for 32 on the ground. But just falling short as the Patriots fight back with Jacoby Brissett the fourth quarter and get the win.
How bad is it for the Jets? How bad is it for the Jets? They held the Patriots under 250 yards, total yards. They had 0 turnovers, and they lost. Cease, the last time that happened was the Fail Mary game. The quarterback that lost that game also, Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, your fate is Aaron Rodgers' fate if you're the Jets. And if you have Breece Hall, you're not sure Todd Downing week to week. Is it Breece Hall's backfield? Is it a split backfield? So you're still going to keep playing Breece Hall. You're not going to play Braylon Allen, but you're a little worried about this. This is going to be a smash spot for Hall. Garrett Wilson, you were worried about maybe when Devontae Adams came to the Jets. Now, Allen Lazard was out for this one, so it concentrated the target tree. And then, boy, was it a good day for the NFL is fixed crowd, because on National Tight End Day, every tight end scored, or every tight end had a big player. It was from the get-go. It was National Tight End Day with Tyler Conklin getting the touchdown in this one. And the Jets, I don't want to say the season is over, but it's going to take some sort of black magic for them to make the playoffs at this point. And they turn around, and is it a good thing to turn around and play right away in front of your home crowd against the Texans? I don't know. We'll find out on Thursday.
Yeah, we will find out. And I just have to throw a challenge flag, Bloom.
Yeah.
Because it's like every day there's something, whether it's like National Cupcake Day or National Hot Wheels Car Day. Yep. Is it really National Tight Ends Day?
It is. See, it's really funny because I really should have put this out there, but I thought there was going to be a land rush for National Whatever Day about 15 or 20 years ago. And I said, the smart people are going to declare certain days, National Whatever Day, because now it's all caught up. When's National Running Back Day? When's National Wide Receiver Day? When's National Middle Linebacker Day? I don't know, but I know when National Tight End Day is.
Yeah, there you go. Let's have it on the Patriots side. I just want National Afford to Tank a Gas Day. Patriots side, the Drake May and the concussion, Bloom, we can talk about that.
Right.
Jacoby Brissett's rock solid, And then Ramondre Stevenson. Hey, no quarterback thing going on. And as a team, they only passed for 136 yards, most of that being Jacoby with 132. It was 2 rushing touchdowns for Stevenson, and then 1 rushing touchdown for Drake May before he was exited from this game. Keyshawn Boutte, 3 for 46. Hunter Henry, 5 for 45 in this one. Stevenson also had 3 for 17 as a receiver. And, well, there you have it. When you're switching quarterbacks, then you're switching the target structure. Well,
yeah,
no target structure when you turn around and hand it off to Stevenson 20 times.
Right, and Stevenson getting the touchdowns, including the 2-point conversion at the end. So a good day for him, even though the quarterback went out. So that makes you happy to play him as a flex, or what the heck flex. We'll see about Drake May next week. But Jacoby Brissett, this team, victorious. And you could feel for the Patriots this mattered. Obviously, it's a long road back, but they think they have their quarterback. Without their quarterback in most of the game, we weren't able to see who we want to target, maybe Hunter Henry at best in the passing game. But this is a kind of win that presages maybe things turning around. One franchise going down, one franchise baby steps, but going up, and another baby step next week against Tennessee. And hey, Tennessee can lose that game. They don't need a quarterback. New England can win, and you don't have to complain because they got their quarterback.
Yeah, they got it. They got a quarterback in Philadelphia as our next one up. And at one point, you looked up at the scores across the screen, or you're watching Red Zone or whatever. And you're like, why is this Eagles and Bengals game, a little tighter for the Philadelphia side? And then they just pulled away.
Yeah.
And they beat them 37-17. The final score. The Bengals 3-5. The Eagles are 5-2. And maybe, Bloom, because their seasons among the seasons, their seasons within the season. We're figuring out who the good teams are, who the great teams are, and there's not many, and then who the bad teams are.
Right.
And I'm like, is Cincinnati just what's the meme? Or like, are we the baddies? Is
Yeah.
Cincinnati just a bad team? Let's talk about Jalen Hurts, though, first and foremost. 3 rushing touchdowns today. Saquon Barkley, 108 on the ground. Barkley also had a catch there. Devontae Smith was one of the most beautiful touchdown catches you're ever going to see. 6 for 85 and a touchdown. And then A.J. Brown, 5 for 84 in this one. Grant Calcaterra, 3 for 58. And Jalen Hurts, 236 and 1 touchdown through the air. So, yeah, Eagles, they're kind of hanging around. This thing was tied up at halftime. And then second half, all belonged to Philadelphia.
And to piggyback off what you said, that Jets-New England game was a game between 2 bad teams, but it was very entertaining. Probably the most entertaining Sunday of the year so far. A lot to get to. This wasn't necessarily an entertaining game, but like you said, Cecil, it helps us sort some things out. And what it sorts out, again, NFC, it's going to be a tough playoff bracket to make, but Philadelphia's getting better. You want to be getting better as we're getting to week 8, and Jalen Hurts is getting better with the 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 of them on the tush push. Saquon Barkley moving the offense. A.J. Brown, one of the best wide receivers. And they said that they wanted to get Devontae Smith going in this game, and they did with a deep ball touchdown here. We know that Cincinnati's defense is going to be one we want to target, and we know that now Philadelphia's offense, Kellen Moore calling the plays, starting to come more into the ideal. Grant Calcaterra even making a few catches downfield. We'll see when Dallas Goedert's going to be back. And Philadelphia, yeah, you want to continue to get better. Having Jacksonville come to town is a good recipe for that.
That'll help. And then Joe Burrow, I don't know what helps necessarily. Mike Gesicki, 7 for 73. Jamar Chase, 9 for 54 and a touchdown. No T. Higgins in this one. And then the backfield's always split. But Chase Brown got the rushing touchdown, 12 for 32. And Zach Moss gets 5 carries and then 4 catches. But Cincinnati's just out of sorts, and their defense isn't helping things.
Right.
And their offense isn't scoring enough to keep them hanging around when a team like Philadelphia puts their foot on the gas.
Yeah, you know what's not good when you're going into a contract year? Getting injured in practice. That's T. Higgins twice this year now. And you just see without T. Higgins how easy it is to defend this offense. The running game not getting going. And let's give some credit to Vic Fangio and the Eagles defense. Remember, they slowed down a Saints offense, looked unstoppable after 2 weeks. You had a 10-plus minute drive. This is how you do it without T. Higgins. It takes 10 minutes, 11 for 12. 12 pass attempts on a drive, on one drive. No, there wasn't a bunch of 15-yard penalties on the Bengals pushing them back, but they matriculated their way down the field for a touchdown, and then it went downhill from there. Without Higgins, they went with Mike Gesicki, who had a solid day on National Tight End Day, but also had a fumble that basically ended their chances to win. Chase Brown had a rushing touchdown, but this running game is not getting on track. And now the Bengals is the AFC, so Denver could be a playoff team in the AFC. There's going to be a few playoff teams that we say are not good playoff teams, but basically the Bengals have no margin of error. And they face Las Vegas next week, so we're really going to know, are they that bad? Are they Las Vegas bad? Because at this point, it almost feels like they used up all they had to go into Kansas City and win in week 2, and they didn't. And they haven't really been able to answer the bell since then.
Well, that is correct. Packers and Jaguars is our next game up. And speaking of more uncomfortable than you wanted, that just happened in this contest. And Packers get the win 30-27. Jordan Love and the groin injury seems like it's minor, so we'll talk about that, Bloom. Josh Jacobs, 25 for 127, 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. Tucker Kraft, 3 for 78 and a touch. Romeo Dobbs, 3 for 72. Jaden Reed, 2 for 55. Christian Watson, 4 for 39. And then when Love's banged up, Malik Willis comes in, throws a touchdown pass. That was the one to Tucker Kraft there. And with Jacobs' big day on the ground, as a team, they rushed for 170 yards, but they barely beat Jacksonville. Yeah. Okay, and they're 6-2, so whatever, a win's a win.
Yeah, win's a win, and Josh Jacobs with some excellent open field moves. And otherwise, hey, Jordan Love goes down, put the offense on my back, he says. And Malik Willis should get a second contract, should get a chance to start somewhere because he shows that he can play good ball control football. He has some extra tools to help. And yeah, hey, if Anthony Richardson was playing like Malik Willis, we'd probably feel a lot better about Anthony Richardson right now, right? Jordan Love throwing some interceptions, leading league interceptions when you've missed time, not great. still, this is a good pass offense. But for fantasy, unless you had Tucker Kraft in on National Tight End Day, he had a 67-yarder and a touchdown in this one, 2 different plays. There wasn't much that came in here from the passing game. It was mainly Josh Jacobs and holding on because their defense allowed Trevor Lawrence Company to get off the deck. But you know what's going to make Jordan Love's groin feel better? Having to play Detroit next week. Big showdown in the NFC North, the best division in football.
Make a statement. Jacksonville had Trevor Lawrence going 308, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, 1 to Brian Thomas Jr. because he's amazing, 3 for 60 and 1 to Evan Ingram, 4 for 36, Christian Kirk 2 for 59, Brenton Strange 5 for 59. There's Parker Washington 3 for 46 in this one, and then Tank Bigsby leads the way. Lawrence, by the way, got a rushing touchdown, but Tank Bigsby gets 18 for 78, also a couple of catches there to benefit his fantasy day, and they put up a fight, but can't pull it off in the end.
Yeah, this franchise is just adrift. For a while, it was bad. 4 or 5 offensive drives into the game. It was bad. They showed some fight. You saw Trevor Lawrence, even at the end of this game, Christian Kirk goes out with a shoulder injury. Brian Thomas Jr. goes out with a chest ribs injury. So he's fighting to get back in without his best 2 wide receivers. And by the way, Christian Kirk rumored to be on the trade block. That's why you didn't see Deontay Johnson today, in Denver. So not much of a trade market for an injured wide receiver. And Tank Bigsby still showing that, hey, even when Travis Etienne is healthy, maybe give this guy some more work. He was trying to keep the offense on track. And Parker Washington, maybe we'll talk about him on the waiver wire show with Christian Kirk hurt. Is there such a thing as moral victories? Probably not. And again, Doug Peterson, feels like we're kind of getting to the end of the Doug Peterson era in Jacksonville as he goes back to the site of his greatest moments in Philadelphia.
Yes, playing your greatest hits, and we're counting them down here. And, well, does Tennessee have a hit? I mean, I guess it's Calvin Ridley, right? It's a hit, but Detroit 52, Tennessee 14, and yeesh. All right, Tennessee tied. The tide's returning. Garbage time matters in fantasy football, and Calvin Ridley, yes, please, and thank you. 10 for 143 in this contest. And Tony Pollard, 20 for 94. It was Mason Rudolph with a rushing touchdown. Rudolph had 1 passing touchdowns, 2 INTs. The passing touchdown to Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, which nobody started. So let's get through the Titan side and talk about Ridley, the kind of one of the talks of the fantasy community today on X.
Yeah. See, the reason you said that is because, again, it's always about the Looney Tunes. The Titans said, I taught Putty Tat. They saw some pretty ferocious Putty Tats in the Lions, in Detroit, and Mason Rudolph. Yeah, I don't got much to lose. Mason Rudolph on a touchdown run. See, so we ever talked about a Mason Rudolph? Not a touchdown dive, not a 1-yard touchdown sneak, a run. He actually had what I guess Chris Berman would have called a whoop whenever he actually made someone miss in the open field. This game was 14-14 at one point. Yeah, and then it was all downhill from there. Final score, 52-14. And the squeaky wheel narrative, I guess it took DeAndre Hopkins getting traded. So Calvin Ridley did get that squeaky wheel oil in terms of targets and production. And this team, again, you're headed towards but the thing is, okay, Brian Callahan's going to get his chance to get a quarterback next year. We know it's not Will Levis. It's not Mason Rudolph, even though Mason Rudolph can revive Calvin Ridley's stock. And yes, if you have Tony Pollard, you were happy because they kept playing him. They didn't watch Chris Godwin last week. They said, let's keep playing Tony Pollard. So he put up some numbers for you. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, all he does is catches touchdowns. It was actually the Detroit defense. That's who you wanted in, other than Calvin Ridley, whenever Tennessee had the ball. And again, Tennessee, New England, Tennessee, you got to lose this one. You got to get it up in the draft order. You want to get your quarterback because you need one.
You need one in a bad way, and you've got one in a big way in Detroit. They're 6-1. They're feeling it. Jared Goff threw for 3 touchdowns and less than 100 yards. And I was like, yep, done. Over. There you go. That's all I need. And David Montgomery threw a touchdown pass. Hendon Hooker got into this game. And then they just ran the hell out of the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs, 11 for 127 and a touchdown. David Montgomery, 9 for 33 and a touchdown. The defense, touchdowns abound. Sam Laporta, 6 for 48 and a touch. Khalif Raymond, 2 for 14 and a touch. Brock Wright, 1 for 8 and a touch. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 2 for 7 and a touch. And oh boy. Yeah, this an unusual game just based on the box score of them
Sure.
really not doing a whole lot because the offense didn't need to.
No. You know how you know the Lions are a great team? Because they're talking about the Lions hangover. The week after teams play the Lions, like the Vikings this past week, you see the effect of playing the Lions. Or if it's a bad team, like the Cowboys, like the Titans, you see it that week. And wow. And this is what good teams do. Great teams. They dominate on special teams. They dominate on defense. They dominate as runners. They didn't have to dominate as passers because it was short fields. Short fields because of the defense. Short fields because Khalif Raymond. Isn't it great that Khalif Raymond had his day with one long, I think, kicker punt return, then another long return for a touchdown. He also had an offensive touchdown. If you're in the Scott Fish Bowl, I think he was like a 60-point play. And you had Sonic and Knuckles, Cease. We have it straight from the source. That's David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And isn't that great? They play together in 19 games going into this one, and I think it's like 19 touchdowns and 16 touchdowns. If it's a great team, you can produce 2 fantasy running back ones. And David Montgomery with the passing touchdown. And Jahmyr Gibbs' 70-yard touchdown, about the easiest 70-yard touchdown run you're going to see. That's how everything is clicking for this team right now. Sam Laporta had 1 touchdown taken off the board because he was down at the half-yard line. So that's the one they had David Montgomery throw to him. Brock Wright got 1 because it was National Tight End Day. And yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, at least you got a touchdown. It was too easy. Just too easy. Game is not going to be as easy. Again, first game outdoors for Detroit next week at Green Bay.
Ray E says he's 8-0 and he feels like he owes you a sandwich. What kind of sandwich, Bloom?
Oh, geez. We would probably go to Parasols, and I would get a firecracker shrimp. And Ray, you've got a date, man. We're gonna meet down there.
All right, there we go. I have no idea what you just said, but it sounds good.
Come to New Orleans. Come to Jamaica.
The siren, right? Bringing you in. That's for sure. Let's see. Atlanta and Tampa Bay. This team, this is up next here. 31-26 final score. Falcons get the win. They're 5-3. Buccaneers are 4-4. Kirk Cousins, 276, 4 touchdowns on the day. Darnell Mooney, 5 for 92 and a touch. Kyle Pitts, 4 for 91 and 2 touchdowns. Bijan Robinson, 6 for 37 and a touchdown as a receiver. Robinson also had 13 for 63 on the ground. Tyler Algier, 12 for 33 on the ground. By the way, Drake London, 4 for 34 in this one. So the Falcons get this one at the end, despite Tampa Bay trying to make a charge there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you knew it was National Tight End Day when Kyle Pitts had a touchdown, and then Kyle Pitts got free for what was a second touchdown until he did the Deshaun Jackson, actually holding the ball behind him. Antoine Winfield said, "I'll take that." But because they didn't have pylon cams, they didn't have a definitive angle, so they couldn't say. It looked to me like Winfield got it before Pitts crossed the goal line. I don't think Pitts is going to take it easy at the goal line anymore. But yeah, Kyle Pitts, no more questions about him. No more questions about Darnell Mooney. Again, you see his upside in any given week. Yeah, with Drake London getting left out, but Kirk Cousins probably wishes he could play Tampa every single week. And it was actually Kirk Cousins' sneak that helped, although Tampa Bay still had a chance at the end. Bijan Robinson gets a touchdown here against the passing game because it's against Tampa Bay. And Atlanta is in first place now after sweeping Tampa Bay. And they're going to have Dallas coming to town. But I think we saw Baker Mayfield answer some questions today. It wasn't a win, Cease. But Baker is showing that he needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, and they need to just start winning, though, because 4-4, and they're the team that beat the Lions.
Yeah.
And they're riding high, and then they lost to the Broncos, and then they keep losing. So, all right, 4-4. Baker, the baby maker, 37-50, 330, 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs. Cade Otton, 9 for 81, 2 touchdowns. Raheem Jarrett, 3 for 58. Bucky Irvin, 7 for 40. As a receiver, and then 9 for 44 as a rusher. Rachaad White, 5 for 38 and a receiving touchdown as a receiver, and then 6 for 29 as a rusher. The 3-headed committee continues because there's Sean Tucker with 2 for 3. So there's your answer. And then we know, looking at this, like, okay, you don't have Chris Godwin, you don't have Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, 4 for 35. Trey Palmer, 2 for 29. Sterling Shepard, 3 for 18. So it was mostly Cade Otton and a dash of Raheem Jarrett here. And Bucky Irvin getting 7 catches.
Right.
So there you have it. Baker down 2 major targets and still put up a major fight.
Yeah, threw a few picks, but they were in this game because of Baker Mayfield. And the correct answer is Cade Otton. Which wide receiver should you pick up? Cade Otton. Not a wide receiver because it's National Tight End Day. Sterling Shepard leaves with a hamstring injury, so maybe Jalen McMillan gets more full-time snaps next week against Kansas City. Tough defense. We'll see how that goes. Raheem Jarrett's an interesting guy here, Cease. We may talk about him on the Waiver Wire show because one time highly recruited, very, very much a player that we saw a lot in his future. It didn't quite come about in the NFL yet, but he showed something in this game, and if Shepard's going to be out, he's going to get a chance. Like you said, more passing to the running backs. Rashad White, Bucky Irving, really good. What a good pick that was for this team. He's going to really help them. And yeah, I mean, it's tough. This team with a lot of fight. We'll see what they do. Maybe they can be the first loss for Kansas City next week.
Yes, we'll see if Kansas City can keep rolling. We'll get to them a little bit later, but let's talk Arizona Cardinals, Miami Dolphins. Tua was back. We'll get to him in one brief moment, but first, it is the Cardinals getting that win score of 28-27. Kyler Murray, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, 307 yards passing, 19 yards on the ground for Murray. Then Trey McBride had 9 for 124, because of course he did. Marvin Harrison, 6 for 111 and 1 touchdown. Michael Wilson, 5 for 31 and 1 touchdown. James Conner, 20 carries, 53 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and also a couple of catches for 16 yards. So they win, and it was their second half performance, including 10 points in the fourth quarter, that helped them pull off the victory.
Yeah, balanced offense to an extent. Stephon Diggs leaves with a knee injury. This one, non-contact injury. Dankdale did get a touchdown, but mostly they're spreading it around. Joe Mixon did have a touchdown here, but didn't have
we're
that
talking
kind of
Cardinals. We're talking Cardinals.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens whenever I start thinking about parasols and firecracker shrimp. See, so they're good. They're gonna figure out that I'm a robot, that I'm not actually. Now they know that they loaded my cassettes incorrectly. Oh my. I was wondering why we were talking about the home team winning. Chad Ryland. Okay. This is great if you were here to see this moment because I had the wrong game up on my screen. Chad Ryland. Remember, Chad Ryland, who the Patriots took in the 4th round, didn't even really make it with the Patriots. And now, after Matt Prater gets hurt, 3 game-winning field goals in 4 weeks. And all of a sudden, the Cardinals are alive. Kyler Murray comes alive in the second half. Marvin Harrison Jr. comes alive in the second half. Trey McBride, National Tight End Day, has his best game this season. And you start to see some of the Drew Petzing passing concepts coming to life now. This team, again, where do you want to be in week 8? You want to be getting better. And Arizona definitely getting better. You may be able to say Miami is too. Now, how much better? And James Conner at least got a touchdown. How much better? Well, we'll find out next week whenever they face the Chicago defense.
All right. On the flip side, Tua returned, and I know that there were some putting out the fans were cheering when he slid. Well, he also had a big run, and then he slid. Yeah. So whatever. But Tua was 28 of 38, 234 yards, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Tyreek Hill, 6 for 72. Was Devon Achane, 6 for 50 and a receiving touchdown, and then 10 for 97 on the ground. Raheem Mostert with 2 easy as pie rushing touchdowns. And then Jalen Waddle, 4 for 45. Jonnu Smith, 4 for 20. Mostert had a catch for 11 yards, by the way. So, all right. Tua was back. They didn't win. He threw it 38 times. They ran it 25 times. They had great success on the ground. They just didn't win. And now at 2-5, so many questions around this team.
Yeah, urgency. They were, it was like 27-18. They were up in the fourth quarter in this one. And again, it's the AFC, so you might be able to sneak in the playoffs if you just beat the teams you're supposed to beat. But again, Arizona saying maybe we're not a team you're supposed to beat. The good news here is Tua comes back for fantasy. Devon Achane, stud for fantasy, like you were expecting. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle didn't put up massive numbers, but you could see it can be coming for them, partially because, well, like you said, Raheem Mostert, actually, that's how good Devon Achane was. He was a 26-point play in PPR leagues, and Mostert got 2 touchdowns in this one, including one that was pretty funny. The play worked so well. Mike McDaniel, genius. Well, the play worked so well that the tight end and guard ran into each other, and Raheem Mostert still walked in from like 7 yards out. That's how crossed up Arizona was in their goal line run defense. So you will see Achane limped off the field for one play. He came back in, he was fine, but let's just watch the practice reports here because Mostert, again, we'll talk about him, maybe not on the waiver wire show, but certainly in the preview show if Achan's not doing okay in practice. In Miami, yeah, why is it urgent? Because they got to go to Buffalo next week, 2-6, probably to home in January.
All right, Baltimore. What the what? And then Jameis. Oh man, Jameis, right? A national treasure is Jameis Winston. A couple of different videos, like the pre-game video talking to the reporter, and he was like had the same answer for everything, like rehearsed. He was so locked in. And then there was a video of him talking to his players in the huddle before the game in the tunnel. And he's like, "You gotta play for the name on your helmet." And he's like, "Well, we don't have a logo. Let's just go play for the Browns." So Browns get the win, and away we go. Yeah, Browns over the Ravens, 29-24, the final score. The Ravens are 5-3. The Browns are 2-6. First game without Deshaun Watson, and they get a W. Let's talk Lamar Jackson, though. 289 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no INT. Zay Flowers, 7 for 115. Isaiah Likely, 4 for 47. Nelson Aguilar, 3 for 36 and one of the touchdowns. Mark Andrews, 5 for 36 and the other one of the touchdowns. Rashad Bateman, 1 for 28. Oh. Derrick Henry, 11 carries, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. 11 carries. What? Huh? Does not compute. Okay, but Baltimore loses. They got Denver at home next week. It's a Broncos show. But it's curious what Baltimore tried or didn't do today.
Yeah, 5-3. And all 3 of the losses, like they lost to the Raiders. Remember that? They were up 10 points in the fourth quarter of the Raiders. In this game, they didn't turn the ball over. How did they lose? How did they lose in this game? Well, a couple of key plays. Justin Tucker missing a 50-yard field goal, and Derrick Henry got a direct snap on a 4th down in the red zone and got stuffed. So those plays were important. And then also, Ravens' pass defense was missing their top 2 corners. That's for the other side of the ball. But Lamar Jackson's still playing really well. Also, Rashad Bateman had like a 60-yarder that could have probably been more. Lost it in the sun. I thought that was just a baseball thing. Lost it in the sun. So you add all this stuff up, and you end up losing a game that you should have won. But Lamar Jackson's still the most valuable fantasy football quarterback. Zay Flowers, game time decision-ish, still good. Mark Andrews, no more questions. Isn't it funny, too, how on National Tight End Day, we talk about this, where Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce will talk about some of these tight ends for the first couple of weeks. Was what happened? What happened is maybe it just takes a little while for things to get rolling here in an NFL season. Again, Denver coming. Both teams 5-3. Didn't have that on the bingo card.
No, not at all. And Jameis Winston, wobble. 3 touchdowns, no INTs, 334 yards passing. I'll have to look at the exact stats, and Ions Cat can tell us in the chat room. I believe Baltimore has the 32nd ranked pass defense when it comes to yards given up. Like they give it up, like they're handing out Halloween candy. Cedric Tillman, 7 for 99 and 2 touchdowns. Elijah Moore, 8 for 85. Jerry Jeudy, 5 for 79. David Njoku, 5 for 61 and a touchdown. Nick Chubb, 16 for 52 in this contest, and they win with Winston out there leading the way again against a bad Ravens defense.
Yeah, worse without Marlon Humphrey. Making those interceptions last week, missing him, missing the rookie Nate Wiggins, who's the girl with the curl, very bad when it's bad, very good when it's good, but still, there's a big drop off. I think they had like a cornerback, Armour Davis. They just activate right off IR. You're starting. And Jameis Winston is not shy out there throwing the ball. The other thing you got to say, Cease, we look at the Jets snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, figuring out a way to lose a game that is very difficult to lose. And the Browns figuring out a way to win a game that's very difficult to win. And teams take on the personality of their quarterback. How much did it lift a burden from the shoulders of this Browns team to not have Deshaun Watson out there? You see this, and whether it's the Gillette Stadium or the Browns, in Cleveland, the fans, just how they feel about their teams. And this was really fun to watch because Jameis Winston, isn't going to make any Hall of Whatevers, but we're going to remember him, and we're going to remember him for moments like this. The pass to Cedric Tillman, All four. Cedric Tillman, who was so cease. The answer to the Tampa wide receiver question was none of them. The answer to the Cleveland wide receiver, all of them. Elijah Moore, right? Jerry Jeudy. How do you get Jerry Jeudy involved? Yeah. Cedric Tillman catching 2 touchdowns here, and then David Njoku with a highlight touchdown catch. And Jameis Winston gives his guys chances to make those plays. Jameis Winston, everybody. This was so. Maybe we didn't think it was going to take an Achilles tear, and we didn't think it was going to take until week 8. This was just the most foreseeable. The writers were too predictable, the NFL writers, but it was still an amazing thing to watch in this one. And and Lamar Jackson, by the way, had a last play of the game where he kept the play alive, threw it up. Actually, not a Hail Mary. He was going for Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers falls down. Whatever it was going to foreshadowing. Because one of the things that made this NFL Sunday great. And I can still remember. Can you remember watching NFL Sunday, watching football for a whole Sunday when you weren't a fantasy football analyst, when you weren't the Denver Broncos insider? You would experience all of these ups and downs, right?
Yep.
Breathtaking moments, lulls. But on a special Sunday like today, this was a special Sunday, not because it was National Tight End Day. You have a convergence of storylines. You have a convergence of emotional intensity. You have a convergence of outcomes that show maybe not where a team is headed this year, but where a team is headed or what makes a team go or what's not making a team go. And these endings in the first set of games all stacked on each other. It was truly spine tingling and exactly what we want to see. Forget about fantasy football. I mean, that keeps us interested in games that are like Denver, Carolina or something. But these storylines, these outcomes, the way these games unfold is just so compelling. And yeah, Nick Chubb, it'll come for Nick Chubb because now teams have to honor the pass downfield. Very, very interesting game to watch next week when Cleveland plays the Chargers. That's an interesting game. It is now.
Yeah, it is because of Jameis. All right, Bloom. I've heard from someone, about Stephon Diggs.
About you. Right.
So now it's Houston 23. It's Indianapolis 20. And the Texans are 6-2 and they're rolling. The Colts are 4-4. And why wasn't Joe Flacco played at the end? To give yourself a chance to win. Okay, whatever. Anthony Richardson, 175, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Josh Downs, 4 for 109 and a touch. Michael Pittman, 1 for 16. Everyone else had a catch. If you did something outside of Josh Downs, you just had a catch. Jonathan Taylor returned to the field, and he had 105 yards and a rushing touchdown, and they still almost won. And Bloom maybe would have had they considered throwing in Flacco at the end.
Yeah, that's tough. I think that Paul Charchian, I think, laid this out correctly on the couch, that they're going to stick with Anthony Richardson. They're going to let him go through the bumps. Boy, there are some bumps. And see where things are headed. But this team was in the game until the end. If they had won, they would have pulled into a 5-3 tie with the Texans. And even though they shouldn't have hung in this game, there was the 69-yard touchdown to Josh Downs when he was literally the only player on the screen. You see a couple of those touchdowns a year, usually more in college football than the NFL. Mm-hmm. And then Josh Downs had another amazing catch at the 1. So Josh Downs saying, and we'll put him in the next week against Minnesota. He won't do anything. But Jonathan Taylor, I think the stat they said was he scored in all 8 games he's played against the Texans. So Jonathan Taylor is still the point of the spear for this offense. And you can see some of the pieces are there. The quarterback's not there. Now, again, this kind of completion percentage, I don't want to try to put perfume on this. It's feel. He lacks feel. And I don't know what you do with that. I mean, it's a sports psychologist kind of thing. I don't think it's mechanics. I don't think it's something that is based on something that's repetitive in the way he's passing. I think it's just him being in tune with the game, and he's not as a passer right now. But at the same time, you see him throw a beautiful pass to Tyler Goodson down the sidelines that Goodson drops. So at times you see all that immense talent for Anthony Richardson. You're just not seeing it on play-to-play basis. So again, this team has a lot of fight, and Minnesota had a couple of days to get over that Lions hangover. So we'll see how that goes next week.
Yeah, see how the Texans continue to roll on. And CJ Stroud, 285, 1 touchdown, no INT. Stephon Diggs, as chat room's talking about, with the injury now. So they'll look forward to move on. Joe Mixon, 25 for 102 and a rushing touchdown. 4 for 32 as a receiver. Tank Dell with the receiving touchdown. And they win just barely, but at what cost?
Yeah, Diggs was a non-contact injury, but the balanced offense and Stroud just not the same quarterback he was last year. He's just not. He's still good enough to win the AFC South, but we'll see. Nico Collins should be back in a couple of weeks, and we know that really is the important thing for him, at least as a downfield passer, regulating things. Dan Dell did get a touchdown. Dalton Schultz did a little bit here and there, but you are going to see now, this was the plan, right? Add Stephon Diggs, and Dell and Collins, and this team is a Super Bowl contender. Well, it's a long road, and we'll see. I mean, this team's going to learn a lot about themselves. Again, they turn around, they play a Jets team that is beleaguered right now on Thursday night. So we'll see maybe if Stroud can get it dialed in and what they're going to do without Stephon Diggs while they wait for Nico Collins to come back.
All right, it is New Orleans Saints 8, Los Angeles Chargers 26. Saints are 2-6. Chargers are 4-3. And I guess they tried everybody at quarterback because Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, Taysom Hill all are in the box score as passers. Alvin Kamara with the hand injury even got 10 for 67 and then 6 for 55 as a receiver. Chris Olave 8 for 107. Juwan Johnson 3 for 48. Taysom Hill not only as a passer but as a tight end 2 for 21 and then 4 for 20 as a rusher and then 1 for 1 of 3 yards as a passer. It's pretty bad in New Orleans. So sure, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. See, if I told you that there would be a game today where the score at halftime would be 9-5. This is
all right,
game,
Dolly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What a way to make a living. By the way, go back and watch that movie, everybody. Incredibly subversive. I still can't believe they made that movie. I can't believe they made that movie. Kidnap and poison your boss and everything gets better and everyone's happier. They actually made that movie. Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda. What a way to make a living. And yeah, for the Saints, for Dennis Allen, what a way to make a living. The Superdome was a happy place this weekend because Taylor Swift was there. So there's somebody who could make the Superdome happy now after that opening. I guess when they're not facing the Panthers, things change. You did have Alvin Kamara doing okay. Taysom Hill. Chris Olave banged up in this game, but still putting up some numbers. Spencer Rattler, I guess I have to eat my words because Spencer Rattler has just gotten worse each game. And now he doesn't maybe look like he has a future as a backup in the NFL. Not when you're replaced by Jake Haener mid-game. And yeah, again, this is going to end up going down with such a weird season for the Saints because for the first 2 games, they were a complete team. It looked like Clint Kubiak was going to be the next hot head coaching name. Dennis Allen, maybe we all underestimated him. No, we underestimated him just right. But hey, New Orleans plays Carolina again next week.
Yeah, there you go. So there's hope. Hope with Jim Harbaugh, who's got it better than us. 279 for Justin Herbert. 2 passing touchdowns. Ladd McConkey 6 for 111, and both of the passing touchdowns, both the receiving touchdowns are for him. Joshua Palmer 2 for 72. Will Dissly 5 for 41. Jalen Reagor 2 for 35. Nobody started him. You started J.K. Dobbins. He got 57 yards on the ground and 1 rushing touchdown and 4 catches for 11 yards. So they roll. This one was close though at halftime, and then they just kept pulling away in their own Chargers-like way, which means run the ball down your throat.
Yeah, and this is a fun team. Again, the beauty of the AFC South the AFC South is part of the story. The beauty of the AFC not having 7 playoff quality teams is as long as the Chargers can keep beating bad teams and keep winning the games they're supposed to win, they will get in the playoffs and they will be a team that no one will want to face in the first round. And we're seeing come into focus here is you did see coming out of the bye Justin Herbert unleashed as a passer. Now you saw Justin Herbert with a 40-yard run in this one, and you're seeing Ladd McConkey making plays. Now, winning a contested catch, that's not something you saw him do a lot at Georgia. That wasn't why he got drafted as high as he did. So when he's doing those kinds of things, the shades of Jahan Dotson, the fundamentals are, I think, better there. But you saw Josh Palmer making some plays downfield. Will Dissly a little banged up coming into this one. So if you have Justin Herbert athlete, you have Justin Herbert passer, you have a physical team on both sides of the ball. You have a team with J.K. Dobbins. Knock on wood, I hope he can remain healthy. I want him to remain healthy. I want this team to be this team when they get to the playoffs because they will be a tough out. And part of that is because of Jim Harbaugh. And I want to just say again about Jim Harbaugh. This guy had those heart issues and is lighthearted. Haha, no unintended play on words about that. And you see it in his team. They are the joyful warrior team because he's the joyful warrior coach. And the Saints, just as you said, Cecil, as the game went on, they shied away from that. It's going to be interesting seeing them play that emotionally on a high Browns team next week.
Teams take on the personalities of their head coach or their quarterback. So there you go.
Yeah.
Thank goodness the Bills have a quarterback because their head coach, I don't have nice things to say, but nice things for the Bills today as they travel across the country and beat up on the Seattle Seahawks. 31-10 is the final score. Josh Allen, 283, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick in this one. Khalil Shakir, 9 for 107. Keon Coleman, 5 for 70 and a touch. Dawson Knox, 2 for 50. Dalton Kincaid, 4 for 31 and a touch. James Cook, 17 for 111 and 2 rushing touchdowns. Ray Davis, 6 for 29. Also, Cook had 3 catches for 22 yards. Amari Cooper, 1 for 3. 31-10. They win. They'll figure out the Cooper thing, or they won't, as long as they keep winning.
Yeah, they have to feel good. The Bills have to feel good. And wow, how this offense has changed when Josh Allen was concussed going back in the game, and how are they going to throw downfield? Everything's compressing. It wasn't even Amari Cooper in this one. It was everyone but Amari Cooper. But Josh Allen's playing so well. Seattle's defense is so mercurial. This was a game where Josh Allen, and look, I was one of the people that excoriated the Bills for letting the Chiefs trade up for Xavier Worthy when the Chiefs needed a vertical threat, and they ended up trading down again, and they end up with Keon Coleman, who's not a guy who separates outside. But actually today you could see it. You could see it because Keon Coleman wins the ball in the air, and Josh Allen will give his guys chances to win the ball in the air. And it was clicking. It was really clicking in this one. Clicking with Dalton Kincaid, clicking with Khalil Shakir. Wow. See, is it too much to say that Khalil Shakir is a Amon-Ra St. Brown in that mold, that kind of player at this point?
I love his fight. I loved him back at the Senior Bowl because he's a blankety blanker when the ball's in the air.
He
doesn't do it with physicality like Keon Coleman does. He does it with tenacity.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Shakir, 5th round pick, Amon-Ra St. Brown, a 4th round pick. But their quarterbacks know when they need to play, that's who's going to make the play. So it doesn't matter. You add another mouth to feed to this pass offense. Khalil Shakir is going to get it done. And James Cook, oh my. Remember when we had just a few weeks ago, James Cook's not going to play on Monday night. James Cook's got a toe. Turf toe. How many running backs have we said, oh no, toe injury that's not feeling good? And then he was supposed to rally to play. He didn't. Ray Davis looked great. Oh no, is this a committee? James Cook resoundingly saying no committee. James Cook and in a Sunday when Dalvin Cook was making headlines, it was James Cook making headlines for fantasy teams in this one. Hopefully you didn't bench him after he wasn't that efficient last week. And for Buffalo, again, it just shows you 8 weeks into the season, it feels like so much has happened, not just for Buffalo, but every team. But at this basically midpoint, week 9, after week 9 is truly the midpoint of the season. But we're basically there. And for the Bills, they've been through a lot, but they're still on track to make that run at the elusive Super Bowl.
Seattle side, Geno Smith had 212 yards passing, and you couldn't tell. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 6 for 69. Nice. That was the only nice thing. They didn't run the ball, although Zach Charbonnet had a rushing touchdown. And then, Laviska Shenault had 1 for 10. Jake Bobo's getting 1 for 15. Hey, I mean, nobody that you counted on outside of Jackson of JSN did anything. Tyler Lockett, 1 for 9. Walker, 12 yards on the ground. It was Charbonnet with the rushing touchdown. So an odd day for Seattle in front of the 12s.
It was a rainy first half, and I guess that contributed to this. Should have been a really exciting back and forth game. But twice, not once, but twice, when Seattle was at the goal line, they snapped the ball basically over the head away from their own players, and they never really recovered from that. And one of those plays, Kenneth Walker did the heady thing and recovered the ball and tried to make something out of it, and it resulted like a 19-yard loss. That's how bad. And he got about 10 yards after he picked up the ball. That's how bad the snap was. And the Geno Smith one over his head was almost as bad. So bad snaps. I mean, the most simple thing in football, bad snaps, really dooming Seattle in this one. And they're missing DK Metcalf, without a doubt. Hopefully it really isn't that big of a deal. And Buffalo's defense is good. I mean, look, Sean McDermott, I agree with you as a head coach. Maybe if Buffalo had a different kind of personality head coach, like a Mike Tomlin kind of personality, or Dan Quinn, more on that a little bit, then maybe we are talking about this Josh Allen era a little bit differently. But the defense is good. And the defense really, without Terrell Bernard, their best linebacker, made things tough on Seattle, this mercurial Seattle team, facing a team you want to be getting better going out of week 8. You know who's getting better going out of week 8? The Los Angeles Rams.
Yes. The game that was supposed to be what it was, finished in a glorious fashion, wasn't a great game. Bears and Commanders, 18-15, the final score, and Jaden did play, and oh boy, we got to talk about that play. But before that, we talk about Caleb Williams, 10 for 24, 131 on the day, also 41 yards rushing. DeAndre Swift, 18 carries, 129 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Rome Odunze, 3 for 41. Keenan Allen, 2 for 39. DJ Moore, 2 for 27. Cole Kmet, 1 for 14. I thought it was National Tight Ends Day. Hey, the Bears didn't get the memo, and the Bears didn't get the win either.
No, you know what also wasn't Cecil? It wasn't national handoff to an offensive lineman at the goal line day. Oops, Chicago. They still almost overcame that. It was a fumble, by the way, if you're wondering. And it was a bad game. I think this was a homecoming game for Caleb Williams from the DC area. It was a bad game. Which team is the team with the dominant defense here? Dan Quinn's team, maybe? Caleb Williams, just going into the bye, we thought, oh, this passing game is coming into focus now. You see the design, Allen and Odunze, and of course, DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. Washington's defense, everybody. And Caleb Williams, rookie, still some ups and downs. DeAndre Swift, and again, 2 weeks into the season, everybody's putting dirt on DeAndre Swift's grave. Now he's got 4 straight 100-yard games and 56-yard touchdown in this one. Roschon Johnson gets a touchdown too, and the Bears were in position to win this one. And see, I was kind of hoping this game was going to be last, but I'll do this here anyway. You know, the scintillating end to I always say 1 o'clock because I grew up East Coast bias at Pittsburgh. Scintillating ends to these games in the 1 o'clock game, and then just a lot of bad football, right? Just some bad football in the late games. And it felt like, okay, well, this is what the NFL Sunday had to give us. It had the Aaron Rodgers story, the Jameis Winston story, kind of the Deshaun Watson story, the Lamar Jackson story, and so on, right? Some incredible games, Baker Mayfield story, Kirk Cousins story, and so on. And we thought, well, this game, the 1 versus 2, ooh, and Jaden Daniels rallies to play in this one, clearly not 100%. Rallies to play in this one. And you thought, well, NFL Sunday was a pretty good week 8. It was pretty good NFL Sunday. But indeed, it saved the best for last.
Yeah. Yep. Jaden Daniels, 226, or excuse me, that's a 326, 1 touchdown, no INTs. I need some eye drops. That's right. Don't mess up the rotation, Bloom. Terry McLaurin, 5 for 125. Zach Ertz, 7 for 77. Noah Brown, 3 for 73 and a touchdown. Brian Robinson, 16 for 65 on the ground. Also 1 catch for 11 yards. And then Austin Eckler, a couple of catches, but then 7 for 52 on the ground. Daniels himself had 52 yards rushing. So again, not 100%, but the play everyone's going to talk about is the one that put him over the top.
Yeah. And we had 3 different examples here. And NFL defensive coordinators, take note. So you had Anthony Richardson, and they're all mobile quarterbacks with big arms. Anthony Richardson had a Hail Mary, and I think the Texans rushed 5 and sacked him. Lamar Jackson didn't quite have a Hail Mary. He kept play alive for a while, and again, Zay Flowers falls down. Maybe something happens, maybe not. And then, well, the Bears did the classic, we're just going to drop everyone back. And Jaden Daniels was able to wheel and turn and wheel and let his guys get collected in the middle of the field on a Hail Mary. Before that, by the way, making plays downfield to Terry McLaurin, and he took a shot to the ribs early in the game and was getting wrapped up on the sidelines. But downfield to Terry McLaurin, Zach Ertz, National Tight End Day, not a touchdown, but still an excellent day for him. Brian Robinson running pretty well, but they didn't really control this game. Bears defense was a game opponent, but Jaden Daniels, and I've never seen somebody so calm after they throw a game-winning Hail Mary touchdown. But I feel like Jaden Daniels understands that it's not about him. That he it's bigger than him. And it was beautiful, Cease. It was beautiful watching Dan Quinn run around like Jim Valvano, rest in peace, looking for someone to hug, like jumping in the air like he was a little kid, forgetting for a second that he was a grown man in a very serious sport, very serious matters, and just elation, joy. And he finds Dante Fowler. How many stops have they been together? Quinn and Fowler, He finds Dante Fowler. They do a quick hug. What a ride. What a ride for Washington. And these are galvanizing moments. It might seem random the way Noah Brown was just, and like they talked about during the broadcast, by design, you have one guy at the back of the scrum just waiting for the ball to maybe pop off of that scrum.
Mm-hmm.
And these kinds of moments can change destinies. These kinds of moments can make things possible that weren't possible before that. And Jaden Daniels was just totally nonplussed, just like, yeah, it's about God. Yeah, we did it. This is fun. It's so much fun. Speaking of 9 to 5, you get rid of the boss, Dan Snyder. What can happen? Right? What can happen when the boss changes to things get back to just play some football? Let's have some fun. This is fun. And yeah, for fantasy, if you saw Jaden Daniels coming, if today you said, well, if Jaden Daniels is active, I'm going to play him. You're benefiting from that, sharing in this greatness. But this is a moment I like to just take in and enjoy, because that kind of emotional release it's cleansing, and it's something we all need today.
You didn't get poisoned, and look at what happens, Commanders, right? Ownership can be poisoned.
Yeah.
Like with Carolina.
Yeah.
Some segues write themselves, Bloom. It is a Broncos show, 28-14. It wasn't that close. There was a fumble by Lil Jordan Humphrey that caused the Carolina to get the first score, and then they had a late score. Now, the late score to Jalen Coker, we can talk about Chuba Hubbard and whatever. And Xavier Legette, he had the touchdown. He's awesome. But Jalen Coker can play. And I believe Holy Cross, right? Same as Khalif Raymond. Top of my head, right? They're both Holy Cross guys. And Jalen Coker in that touchdown. And that touchdown was against Riley Moss with like perfect coverage. And then there was another catch. I think it was taken away by penalty. We're not going to talk much about the Panthers side. They're terrible. Start everyone against the Panthers. But Coker can play. And it was good to see him out there making plays.
Yeah, Bryce Young. No, maybe some trade value for him. Maybe some trade value for Deontay Johnson. Maybe, they can get more than the 6th round pick, 7th round pick swap they gave up. But, there's just some teams that you look at. Again, Tennessee comes to mind. I mean, they're adrift. They're totally adrift. But they did give the $200,000 whatever bonus to Jalen Coker. They got the right guy as an undrafted free agent, and that's about what there is to celebrate for this team. And Cecil, you're going to have quite a fun week. I think it's going to be a fun week to be on Denver radio talking about the Broncos after this one.
Yeah, after this one, and Bo Nix out there slinging it, could add 300 yards, but then Sutton had to throw a pass, and Riley Dixon had to throw a pass, and the Panthers players were mad that Sean Payton was putting out a bunch of trick plays, and Sean went to like jaw with him after the game. He did shake hands with Dave Canales, and then he just started jawing at their players. So personality gets you a long way. Adam Troutman, 4 for 85 and a touchdown as they figured out the tight end. Sean was so sick of answering tight end questions this week. I think he did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton, no targets, no catches against the Saints. He's fine. 11 targets, 8 catches, 100 yards. Broncos' first 100-yard receiver since week 2 of last year, and that was Marvin Mims. Bo Nix with the 3 touchdowns, 284 through the air, and 1 rushing touchdown. He's rolling, and, well, next week they'll be rolling against the 32nd ranked Ravens pass defense.
Yeah, and you hate seeing Troy Franklin with another one just going through his arms downfield. Troy Williamson, vibes there. Like, just it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad when you're making a bid for a ball. But no arguments on the sideline between Nix and Peyton after Troy Franklin doesn't reel in a deep ball because, well, this was an easy game for them. Cortland Sutton, like you said, sees at the very least wide receivers reflex. You ride the ups and downs here with Bo Nix and the downfield passing. How many stats were there from the first 3 or 4 games? He's up anytime Bo Nix throws more than 10 yards downfield. This is his quarterback rating, yards per attempt or whatever. Well, now you're seeing him with some accuracy throwing downfield, even when Troy Franklin can't catch it. Adam Troutman, you asked John Payton, you did that because it was National Tight End Day. National what? No, that's not why I did it. He did it because, well, Sean Payton has an antagonistic relationship with everything and everybody, but that's okay, Cease. Like you said, it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
And Jaleel McLaughlin, the Youngstown State Penguin, with the pretty good fantasy day remaining on what the heck flex. Javonte Williams, okay, well, he just didn't account for any of the touchdowns, but the touchdowns were there. They will be there against the Panthers. And Bo Nix, you're getting that downfield passing dialed in just in time for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep. We will see how that happens. Final game we're going to talk about, and it's Kansas City and it's the Raiders. And correct me if I'm wrong, this was Pat Mahomes' first touchdown pass in October. It's October 27th. So, and they're rolling, they're undefeated. It's like the Chiefs, and it's a little here, they're missing this, and it's kind of like not clicking here, and they're undefeated. It was like last year, the Chiefs were down and they won the Super Bowl. Well, the Chiefs are down again, and they might three-peat for the first time in NFL history. I owe Pat Riley a quarter now. So Travis Kelce, 10 for 90 and a touch. Xavier Worthy, 4 for 37 and a touch. Pat Mahomes, 262, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Kareem Hunt, 21 carries, 59 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. So, yeah. And by the way, Nuke, 2 for 29.
Yeah.
There you go. Mix them in. On the road against the Raiders, they get a divisional win, and they just kind of roll. It's what they do.
Yeah, if you thought the Raiders would play the Chiefs tough, because they do sometimes, it kind of did for a half, and then they made it tighter at the end, but Chiefs were pretty much in control of this game. Mahomes got a little banged up here. National Tight End Day, so you saw Kelce getting a lot of targets in this one, including a touchdown. First one for a long time for him, I think like 14 games or something. Xavier Worthy getting a touchdown late. Kareem Hunt not efficient, but it's going to get those touchdowns, so he's going to remain in our lineups, looking like we'll see when Isaiah Pacheco comes back, but potential league winner. DeAndre Hopkins, not much. And you saw more Kelce, you saw a little bit of Worthy. We'll see. I can't say if he's going to be a shut him down. Tune in tomorrow morning to find out. But Kansas City doesn't need him to come through. Should be a fascinating matchup next week, though, when Tampa Bay comes to Kansas City.
Anything to say about the Raiders side before we check in on Sunday Night Football? I mean, Brock Bowers is awesome. The yay.
Yeah, he did okay, and Jacoby Myers is awesome. He's back, and Gardner Minshew actually didn't play too badly, honestly. But it's the Raiders, and Antonio Pierce says they're not going to make a change at play caller. It's the execution. Okay, John McKay speaking of Tampa Bay. What do you think your team's execution? I'm all for it. So Raiders fans are just kind of stuck in a loop here. I don't know what's going to get them out of it. Brock Bowers is a piece. But again, these teams, when they don't have a quarterback, they're on the road to nowhere.
I know what gets them out of it. Shedeur Sanders. Tom Brady's like his buddy.
Well, if there's a there's a city where the Sanders show could be taken on the road and fit, it absolutely would be Sin City.
Yeah, except Shedeur has like a Rolex and I have a hairband. My hair tie to remind me of stuff. I don't know. No stuff. Tie back my hair. Anything checking in from Sunday night? I saw what Jordan Mason got a little bit banged up, but he's okay. Anything popping for you here on Sunday night?
Yeah, well, Mason a little banged up. Isaac Rendo with some good runs. Rico Dowdle's sick, even though he was like signing autographs and stuff before the game. That's weird. It's actually Zeke with the first half touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, a lot of short catches. San Francisco, the Super Bowl window. I mean, now you're not Super Bowl window. Is this team even going to make the playoffs? Are they even the best team in their division? Are they even the second best team in their division? If Dallas is coming in to Santa Clara and making them look at that. And I've got to say again, because it's San Francisco, rest in peace, Phil Lesh. Fare thee well, Phil Lesh. Such a long, long time to be gone and a short time to be there. And Phil Lesh, the Grateful Dead, give us so many memories. And the NFL today, giving us a lot of emotionally charged, wonderful memories to remind us why we tune in every Sunday, not just for fantasy football.
Yes, for each other. And we'll be back tomorrow morning for each other and for you as well. So, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. He's Sigmund Bloom. I'm Cecil Lammey. We are the Audible, everyone. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?